and welcome to episode 1242 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, January 5th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, Happy New Year, my man. How you doing?
I'm here. I'm sick, but I'm here.
You're sounding all right, a little bit better. I know you've been dealing with sickness now for a week or so, yeah?
Yeah, almost probably like 2 weeks almost at this point. It's been kind of a brutal holiday season for me, and so I apologize to everyone for not being able to record a ton kind of over the holiday season, just because been kind of out and sick and unable to sustain long periods of conversation. So, but we're back, we're
We're
ready,
back.
and we're gonna be like full bore here
Absolutely.
for the
It is
next few
time.
months. Yep.
We're rolling out our rankings. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, or the day we create it, you'll see Justin's second base rankings going up. My catchers went up. We had first and outfield already up. We'll continue those throughout next week. My starting pitchers are finally coming. And we're doing, kind of our commentary on the rankings, which I like. I like that first set of rankings, kind of lay out the pool, really talk about the players. Basically, a written version of what we do here with our positional previews on the show, which we will continue first base today. But one, I guess, silver lining of your sickness, I'm obviously not happy that you were sick, but it did create some time between episodes and some moves happened. That said, Justin, I feel like it's been really slow still. And I know with the holidays, there's going to be a slowdown, but I'm like, when's this going to pick up? We still got some good guys out there. Where the hell's Blake Snell going to go? What's going on? But we got a blockbuster trade. And frankly, we shouldn't have been surprised because Atlanta makes a trade. They're keeping the hot stove going. Once that fire starts to die down, they throw a trade back on the fire and light it up. This one might be their biggest of the bunch, trading for Chris Sale. And guess who goes? The guy we put in every trade for the Braves, Vaughn Grissom. You can no longer create Braves trades with Vaughn Grissom. He is now gone in a 1-for-1 deal. When you saw this Sale to the Braves, what'd you think?
I thought, wow, this is just a win-win trade for both teams, right? Like, the Braves need to try to compete with the Dodgers. The Dodgers making the moves that they have meant that, like, if you want to try to win a World Series like the Braves do, like, you're going to need a bunch more firepower. And the Braves add to that rotation, which has been one of the things that have held them back from winning another World Series this last year.
So it's not their premier strength right now. They've got greatness up front with Strider and Fried and a good bullpen, but you look at that 3-4-5 with Morton, Elder, and I don't even know who, but now it's Sale. So now it's Morton, Sale, Elder. Starts to look a bit better. I don't think they're done. I think they could add some depth, maybe a swingman or two who can start in the bullpen and then be there for them if they need him as a starter. AJ Smith, Shawver, Dylan Dodd, Darius Vines, some prospects who will be at the ready if they need them during the season too. Sale obviously is a huge name still, right? And if you look, if maybe you didn't have him in your fantasy team last year, you might not have realized that his skills were pretty excellent last year. 103 innings with a 23% strikeout minus walk. That's fantastic. 13% swing strike. Only had a 4.30 ERA because of a 1.3 homer 9, but a 113 whip. So there was some goodness there from the 34-year-old, lefty in Sale. Are you betting on him with Atlanta? Do you think he's somebody, Chris Sale, that you're going to go for in drafts now that he's with a much better team?
I think it kind of depends on where his price finishes. Was it called Truist Park now or whatever they call it?
They changed their name as much as y'all changed the San Francisco Park.
It's not a great place to pitch. I mean, I guess it is a better division, right? You're not going up against the
all powerhouses.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to go up against your own team.
Yeah.
During the season, so
and the parks are better, right? Like you got to go to Philly, but you get to go to Miami. City. Actually, I mean the Mets are solid, but that park is not scary. So it's a small upgrade there for Sale. But yeah, is it enough to kind of get you in? His ADP right now is 176, and that's since December 1st. That's 17 drafts. I'm looking now at the very latest. We got some drafts since the new year. 126, 144, 175, 161, and 157 in those 5 drafts for Chris Sale. So he's moving up from the 176 ADP. What if he lands, let's call it 130, and he lands right ahead of Jordan Montgomery, another lefty who we don't know where he's going to land right now. Are you taking Chris Sale if he's a solid ADP 130?
I think I'm taking Jordan Montgomery.
What about Bassett versus Sale?
I think that's a better discussion. I'm probably leaning Bassett, I think.
Michael King is right after that then.
I think I'm leaning King.
Okay, so maybe you're not so keen on Sale there. Then you got Hunter Green at 144.
Take Sale all day.
I was going to say, he's got, a volatile but high upside profile himself. That park always scares me and really takes me off Green and Lodolo, even though I like both as pitchers. So you're more on Sale at, say, 140, 150, which would be more of a 20, 25 pickup grade. If he goes beyond that, seems like you're going to be out on Sale.
Yeah. I mean, I love the upside. I just, at this point, do we know that he was so inconsistent from start to start? And I just don't love guys that can blow up your ratios in the way that Chris Sale can. I definitely think he belongs in kind of that 150 area. But then, I mean, you still have guys like Gavin Williams. Would you like the young upside there?
Yep.
Haley Ober showed some interesting growth last year. Like Jose Barrios,
that home run rate, that's not new.
And it's not going away in a park like Truist, right?
You would think not.
Short porch there in right field, though being lefty helps protect a little bit from that. But I don't know.
1-4 homer 9 in his previous 190 innings in 2020 or in 2019 and 2021, because he missed 2020, which would have only been like 50 innings anyway, and then basically missed 2022 with 5 2/3. So that's obviously another factor with Sale is the health. So I think I'm kind of with you.
I don't even know if I can put him over like Carlos Rodon, because at least like when Carlos Rodon is healthy, like he's good, right? Like he's just on a per inning basis is good.
And he's right there, by the way. Pick 170 ADP right now.
So wouldn't you rather have Rodon?
Well, especially if Sale leapfrogs him and is consistently a 140, 150 ADP. And if Rodon stays at 168, 169, and I'm getting a full round plus discount, then absolutely. Because even 1-to-1, I think you're right. Like, let's just say Sale doesn't quite move all the way up and he's closer to just being right there with Rodon. If they're equal ADP, I think I'm going to go for Rodon. So I think I'm with you there. It's like, I want to be in on Sale, but I worry that this move will create a little too much hype because, the Braves will fix him. He'll be great. And it's like, well, I mean, he might just be solid with them. I don't think he's going to fall apart, because even last year, like I said, the 4.30 ERA was tough, but the 1.13 whip and the strong skills were there. I'm really torn here. I think the winter drafts, you're not going to see me getting much Sale. I might get on board in the spring, but that's going to be after kind of seeing some innings from him and maybe kind of, being wooed by that. But the problem then is that the price will go even higher.
Yeah.
And then you're talking, there's a world where maybe Chris Sale ends up, top 125. And I don't think I'm doing that.
I got a guy that I'd like to see whether or not you prefer Sale or not.
Okay.
Chris Sale or Shane Baz?
You mean Chris Sale or Shane Baz? It's not like you said Chris Taylor. Sorry. Clearly you did not say Chris Taylor.
I did not.
You said Chris Sale or Shane Baz. I'm pulling up my SP rankings. I figure I might as well reference those since those are going up. I think that's going to be Baz. Now, I didn't do a move for Sale yet with Atlanta. I got him at 38 and 45 respectively. Baz 38, of course, Sale 45. Hey, I gotta say, I'm pretty closely aligned with ADP. The guys right above Sale, Christian Javier, Michael King, Bryce Miller, they're right in that same range on the ADP. We had a big talk about Boz at Fall League. And if I recall correctly, I was a little tepid relative to some of y'all being pretty excited about him. I've come around to y'all's side. I think I'd go
Yeah.
Boz. Again, he had the extendo return from TJ. So I don't think that he's going to have as much trouble this year, Shane Boz, because he had, I think, the 18, 19-month recovery route. So I think I might go Boz. Are
For
you on
me,
Boz over sale?
I think I am. For me, like on a guy like Boz, is like I still don't love first year back from Tommy John,
Yeah,
but where he's going, like it's worth a gamble. It's not like you're having to pay the Walker Bueller type price, right? Like you're not having to pay like a top 100 price on the guy. And the guys he's going around are all volatile to begin with.
exactly.
I mean,
It's in that same window of volatility.
you're taking your chance on some sort of bounce back gamble. Do you want
Yeah.
Shane Bieber? Do you want Christian Javier? Do you
You want
think
to try to bet on
JP
Nathan
Eovaldi
Uvalde's
will? Yeah,
health? Yeah.
exactly. So yeah. All right.
No,
Yeah, I just wanted to
I
see.
quite like Boz. I think that's a good duo to talk about. The young versus the old, both on quality teams. I could definitely see myself getting toward Boz there. So I think it's a good move for Sale. I have some interest in him. It's really going to depend where that price lands, though, if I'm going to end up with any Chris Sale. All right, let's move on to the next move. Lucas Giolito.
You want to talk real quick about Vaughn Grisham in
Oh yeah, yeah,
Boston?
yeah,
Because
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely,
he's got to be a starter, right? Like, I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Pardon me on that.
they don't care
Um,
about defense. They're playing Trevor Story at shortstop.
well, yeah, and even if Vaughn Grissom, yeah, and that's the thing with Vaughn Grissom is like he can't really play shortstop defense. So they're going to keep Story there, and Grissom's going to be the second baseman. He should be the everyday guy. This has to add a lot of excitement about him, right? Because in Atlanta, it was looking like another, minors slash bench type year. But now you put Vaughn Grissom on Boston, he's an automatic starter right now, or at least, unless somebody somehow bypasses him, he's the penciled in starter. Are you drafting Vaughn Grissom now? Are you seeking him out as the second baseman for Boston?
I think you should, right? Like, I mean, obviously you're looking at 15 team or deeper leagues for the most part, but like he's going to pick 369 over the last 3 weeks, and that's around guys who were clearly, uh, part-time players, right? Like utility guys, things like that. The Ezekiel
It's
Durans and
I've got like 8 drafts here since the first of the year. They're all like 275 plus. So what about Vaughn Grissom as a 270 to 280 range type guy? Because I think he's moving up about 100 picks based off of this.
I
So
think
that's a
that is
that's a
probably
pretty
about
big
the
jump.
right spot because that like puts him around like JP Crawford.
Yeah, we should note he's only shortstop eligible right now. So Grissom will add second base
Yeah.
eligibility in season, which is a benefit, by the way, because then you're going to have the second short combo. But right now he's drafted as a shortstop. And that, like you said, that puts him with JP Crawford, Zach Neto, Jordan Lawler. I'm comfortable with that, but it is
Yeah,
it
because I
is
don't
about a
think
100 pick jump.
I mean, I don't buy the JP Crawford breakout necessarily. Lawler is probably gonna start the year in the minors. Neto, I think is an interesting discussion because I think Neto is a little
We like
underrated.
Neto.
So, but yeah, I mean, Vaughn Grisham can hit. So, like the playing time issues have been all about defense, and
Hmm.
like I said, I don't think Boston cares that much.
And again, I'm not sure that his defense, Von Grissom's, is like so horrendous that he can't play second. I think it was mostly about short, which, hey, they're both important. They're both big positions, but you can take lesser defense at second than short. You want the best defender over at short. We don't have to talk about how good or bad Story. I don't know. Story, is he a terrible fielder?
No,
Or
not
is he,
terrible, but just
but not top of the
not
scale.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, having Grissom there at second, I think that's a good setup. This was a good trade for Boston,
Hmm.
and it did. Or never mind. I think the pitching move that we're going to talk about came before that. So they set up trading Sale by signing Lucas Giolito to a 2-year deal. And listen, I saw a lot of hand wringing about it how the hell does Lucas Giolito get 2 years? Blah, 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 blah. Because he's still a good pitcher, okay? I'm here to cape for Lucas Giolito. Because people talking shit about him. My dude got traded twice, clear across the country, out to LA, all the way back to the Midwest in the span of a month. If you look at those 12 starts with LA and then 6 with LA, then 6 with Cleveland, that's the dog shit part of his season. I think there's a pretty decent reason for it. But then if you isolate the White Sox sample, it's a 3.79 ERA and a 122 whip and 121 innings. That's who Lucas Giolito is. I think that's the guy that he is. Home runs are still a problem. They just went crazy in the Angels and Guardians samples at 2.8 and 3.2 homers per nine, respectively. You can say, okay, well, Fenway might be tough on home runs too. Yeah, so is Chicago. So put him down for like a 1.3 to 1.5 homer nine. I will grant that, which does make him susceptible to like a low fours ERA. But I think it'll come with a decent whip and plenty of Ks. I'm not out on Giolito. I think the market kind of is, and I'm willing to buy. What'd you think of Giolito in Boston?
Yeah, really interesting move. I did not think he'd want to go to the place where he could potentially have to pitch on Patriots Day.
That's really funny because I thought about that too. Literally the second that he signed, he got rocked on Patriots Day. He's made it clear that
he hates pitching in the morning.
Not a morning guy.
You think they put that in his contract? Hey, you are not allowed to throw me on Patriot Day. Like,
I think it'd be great if they did have like a funny little clause there, like please, unless it's, I have to go, we have nobody else. Please do not pitch me on that day. I'm a video gamer, for God's sakes. I'm gonna be up late. But yeah, that's so funny. That was the first thing I thought of too. He's picked 222, so maybe the market isn't as cold on him as I thought, because that's not a terrible ADP for Lucas Giolito. I'm willing to pay that. I'm curious if he is going to go up a whole lot. Looking again at some drafts since the new year, he's been holding ADP. There is an outlier 180 pick, maybe a Boston fan getting excited, but there's also a 251 also on New Year's Day. So he's still run the gamut of his ADP spread for Lucas Giolito. And so I think he's going to end up somewhere in that like 185 to 225 range in most drafts. Are you paying that price for Giolito?
I think I might, especially if you look at around his like immediate vicinity over the last 3 weeks or so. You're talking about guys like Mason Miller, who probably not a starter.
Yeah, agreed.
Shoto Imanga, who we don't know where he's gonna be and what he's gonna be, especially first year. Yu Darvish, is he healthy enough to even pitch this year? Like, there's a lot of wild card. Brendan Pfaadt was really, really good in the postseason, but was atrocious in the regular season. So, like, what version of him do we get? Like,
also a big home run issue, like Giolito.
And you look at like the X home runs in Boston, and they were actually much lower than his kind of combined work all around the country. And like you said, like he had to go and play for 3 different teams over the course of like a month. Like that is very, very difficult, especially for a guy who clearly like values his routine, right? Like he doesn't like waking up early in the morning because he values his routine. So
because he probably has, guys will get there at like 11 on their pitch day, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
To have like a 5-hour prep for whatever they do. That game starts at 11.
He strikes me as one of those guys that like,
absolutely,
I've got my routine. This is
Giolito built himself. Like, let's not forget. Well, Ethan Katz too, but like Don Cooper wasn't doing shit. And when they transitioned to Katz, Giolito had been working on his own as well, and that's when his breakout happened. He went from literally the worst pitcher in baseball in 2018, 173 innings of a 6.13 ERA. I feel like definitively the worst pitcher in baseball, to a 3.41 in 177 innings, and he's been pretty good since. Now, 2022 and 23, we're talking about upper fours ERAs because the home runs have become a problem, but he's still a strikeout guy. We still see the glimpses of greatness with Giolito. Do you think he can curb the home runs enough to be a firm 12, maybe 10 team asset, or is Giolito deep league only for you right now?
Well, let me answer your question by asking you a question.
I love that.
Who has been the best pitching coach in recent years for reclamation projects?
Whoever Boston has that I can't think of right now.
Andrew Bailey.
Oh yeah, they got Bailey. Um, I mean, if he's
I think this
got
is like a kind of perfect fit for Giolito. Like I think,
absolutely, because
in
he likes the next level stuff. Like I said,
especially if you're in those 10 and 12 team leagues, like when you get to the end of your draft, like what are you shooting for? You're shooting for a guy who could end up being a second or third round talent. And
absolutely.
Giolito's been that before in recent memory. It's been a bad couple of years, but prior to that, he's going the first round of 15 team drafts. And like um when I'm drafting a shallow league, like at the end, I'm not looking for the Jose Barrioses of the world who are like, hey, he's gonna give me innings, but like they're not gonna be great innings all the time. No, I'm looking for the guy that, yeah, he could pop and be the ace of my staff that I just drafted in the you know 29th round of my
I
12
don't
team.
appreciate the Barrios slander. I think he too. I mean, he had a huge year last year, but I'll put that aside for a moment to agree with you on Giolito. Like there's an upside pick, and I've talked about this concept the last couple of years. Like older guys have upside too.
Yep.
We think of upside and it's always got to be some, under 25-year-old guy. No, it can be a 29-year-old who's had previous success 3 years from 19 through 21, coming off a couple down years, getting back to a new place, getting with a pitching coach who can maybe tweak a couple things, really just curb the home runs. If that home run rate can get down to like 1-1, 1-2, right? It can still be north of 1. But if you get it down there in the low 1.0s, then I do think Giolito can be a low to mid threes ERA guy with a boatload of Ks. Plus, he's been a workhorse, right? That's another
Yeah.
thing too. Like you can't
184 innings.
deny, yeah, he's locking in the innings, 30 plus starts each of the last 3 years, including 33 last
He
year.
made
So
33 starts between 3 teams last year. That's like
that's impressive too. Just because getting traded, you might get
yeah,
off
you gotta
schedule a little
yeah,
bit.
you gotta go through a new rotation. And I mean, I'll be interested to see what Boston does to finish out this rotation. I can't
Me too.
imagine they're going in the year with 5 righties. So, um, but
Jordan Montgomery for them.
I mean, I still think Montgomery ends up back in Texas, but
I think so too. I think that'd be a really good fit. Blake
Blake
Snell for them. They,
Snell.
they go huge.
I mean, they seem
Move
like they
Hauk to the
might want to
bullpen.
be able. I mean, that's what they should do. Like, I'm not a like I just slandered the hell out of Blake Snell in my first article of the year for Fantasy Pros
I'm
last night,
sorry.
but
What did you say about him? Please tell me right now before I
that I
beat you
think
up.
I was writing like early busts for 2024, and he was
How
the only
dare you?
pitcher on my list. Come on, you know he's gonna bust from considering like where he was last year. Like, there's no way he can come close to what he did last year.
He doesn't have
New
to. If
location.
if he was being drafted off of Blake Snell's numbers, off of his 2.25
Yeah,
ERA,
not.
I could agree with that. But he's not. Like 63 ADP, I don't think is crazy.
It's not.
Obviously, I love
The
Snell,
market
right?
isn't completely overreacting, but you're talking about a guy who, like, definitely did not deserve a 2 ERA last year. Led the majors in walks. Is going to be leaving more
Led
than
the
likely,
majors in hits allowed too. Thank you very much.
and got super lucky on balls in play.
Oh, so it's lucky when he's stifling hits, but all those walks are
And you got
just
a
a lack of
250
skill.
something BABIP when you're a
You're
career
and you're not moved.
296
You're
guy.
not moved at all by the discussions of the purposeful walks of him wanting to, do something that you and I have talked about as a concept before of like, hey, don't try to come back into this guy who's 3-1. Throw another pitch that's out of the zone. If he takes it, fine.
I
Walk him
think
and
that
start
works
over.
well when you're in a good park that isn't going to hurt you on with a decent defense behind you. But we have no idea where he's going to be. We know he's not,
Sure.
or well, we assume he's not going to be in the kind of park that protects him the way San Diego protected him, unless the Giants
I
jump
was gonna say,
in.
what if your boys get him? Yeah.
Please
But
God no. Oh God no.
Angels Park
And
isn't
then
too bad.
the injuries scare the crap out of me. I mean,
Sure.
he threw 180 this year, but it's the first time he's thrown 180 in like 5 seasons. So
Since his
like,
last Cy Young. If he throws a
yeah,
$180, he gets a Cy Young. It's really that
yeah,
simple.
that's how it works, right? So
It is an
yeah,
ironclad data
I don't
point.
think the market is going crazy over him.
Also,
Though I
though,
will say, like, it was a hard article to write. Like,
trying to find busts.
yeah, because I mean, there were definitely some ones that were pretty easy, especially at the top. Like, I think like Ellie De La Cruz, like,
Dude, he's in the second round, for God's sakes.
he's still going top 20 and he's not even guaranteed a job. As much as I've drafted Royce Lewis, I still think it's insane that he's going in the
I
top
love
45.
Royce too,
Like,
but I definitely understand the pushback on that. What I thought you were going to say about Snell though is he will jump up when signed, so then
that
we got to
too,
kind of
yeah.
judge off of that market.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like where could Snell go that would skyrocket the price, because I'm
The
thinking like
Dodgers?
oh my God, yes, it would. You're right. He'd probably go inside the top 40 at that point. But I do think like most spots that he goes, he'll move from 63 to like 50. I think he moves up about a round.
How about the Yankees?
I wouldn't hate that fit. Obviously, it would not be the park protection that you're talking about with San Diego,
Yeah. No, I just mean in
but
terms of raising the ADP. Like,
it would raise it for sure.
I mean, obviously, if you ended up in a place like Cincinnati, like people would be like, "Oh no," but like Toronto, like
I'd be
after
okay with
like
that.
finishing second place on the Shohei, like they need a big move.
That would actually make a lot of sense for them to be a
I
little aggro.
I think it makes a ton of sense for them. I don't know what the holdup on Blake Snell's market is. Like
I don't either. I mean, I'm sure it has to do with like, hey man, you had a 13% walk rate. Well, I did it on purpose. Okay, what if you didn't do that on purpose? Like we can't
he's
really.
also a really smart guy that's very thoughtful about like
Absolutely.
his decisions. So he may just be going, I'm waiting for the right team at the right price.
Yep.
The long we've seen this before. The longer guys wait into free agency, the higher likelihood that they get the better deal that they want.
If
So
you
like,
can be patient, that can really
right?
pay off. And
Mhm.
I don't know if he's a Boris guy or anything, but you know, yeah, like that patience can really pay off. Yeah, he is a Boris guy. I just checked on BREF. So, if he's just putting it in Boris's hands and saying, "Hey, Scott, I know you're going to get me what I need. Let's wait this out." Then he might be comfortable with that. So we'll see where Snell ends up going. But anyway, wrapping it up on Giolito, I think we like him as a fair, mid 200s pick. If the price skyrockets into the top 200 firmly, maybe I wouldn't be as keen. But we didn't see too much movement there on Lucas Giolito's price after the signing. Well, this one is a bummer, and I will not be drafting Frankie Montas. Longtime Frankie Montas fan, excited to see him come back, but he signed with Cincinnati, and we just briefly discussed Hunter Green, and the nerves that come along with drafting him, or even Nick Lodolo, and I think they're both better than Frankie Montas. Although healthy Frankie Montas is actually similar to them. He's in Cincy now, coming off of a dead year, threw an inning and a third last year. Any interest here? I know the answer, but any world where you're taking Frankie Montas?
I guess in a DC I might. He still pitches half his games outside of Cincinnati, and
True.
I think he got $16 million.
He's had some homer suppression at times. It's been inconsistent. In fact, one of his worst years was when the homers were way up. Although that was just the 2020 season, so it wasn't a real season. But he's a 1.0, or excuse me, 1.1 career guy. Frankie Montas misses a ton of bats. I mean, there's a world where he can still be successful. It's just that park is so damn scary, dude. So in a DC, sure.
He's only really had a bad homer issue in that 2020
Yeah,
season.
just
So
that year.
I mean, maybe he could survive it. I mean, I'm probably not going to risk it because you add in on the worst part, like the amount of injuries that he's had. Like you said, he
True.
only threw an inning and a third last year. So like, do you really want to gamble with that? But I mean, I love Frankie Montas. When Frankie
Me
Montas
too.
is right, like he is just so fun to watch.
Because
But
nasty
like,
splitters are awesome. when they're
Yeah.
paired with blazing heat and a nice breaker. So like when he's on, he looks incredible. He's got the 3-pitch mix and everything works. Now,
I actually
this
don't
is
mind him in a regular fab league, like, because you can drop
because
him.
you
Like,
can
if
move
you
on. Yeah.
yeah, you can drop him really easy. So,
And I don't think that
um,
this 357 ADP that I'm looking at here, which again is with since the new year,
that might go
I don't
down.
I don't think that that's, or excuse me, it's since December 1st, not the new year, because there hasn't been that many drafts since the new year. But yeah, like I don't think he's going to skyrocket here. Like you said, he might trickle down a little bit having signed with Cincy. I do have the perfect comparison. I love that his ADP is
He's right next to Andrew Heaney.
yes.
Yeah, I
So
know
I
it.
gotta ask,
Injury, volatile.
home run
Yeah.
issue. Well,
James
he.
Paxton's right there too.
I
Like,
was gonna bring
so,
him up because
like,
that's another guy
Josiah
you like.
Gray.
Josiah Gray's there, Alec Manoah. So this is a Justin Mason tier area.
Yeah.
What about
Trevor Rogers,
Montas?
Steven Matz.
What about
Ring
Montas or his new teammate Graham Ashcraft?
I think I go Ashcraft just because of the health. But if
Okay,
Montas looks good in spring, then I think I'd probably go Montas.
and are you taking Montas over Heaney?
If Montas looks good in spring, yeah. I
What
think
about
I'm
over?
probably not drafting Montas right now, and I'm just gonna wait until I see what he looks like in spring, and then I'll be willing to take the gamble.
I think that's
Um,
fair. What about another guy who basically lost last year, had 18 innings? Trevor Rogers, who's going right around him, still with Miami.
um, I think Rogers is in the same boat as Montas, which is I need to see him in spring.
So you wouldn't take him
At
in
least,
the winter here either?
I mean, probably not. I just don't know. At least Montas, if healthy, we know has a job. If Trevor Rogers is
True.
healthy, do we know that he has a job? I think he does,
I,
but
I, I
I'm
think so
not
too,
sure
but
he
it's not.
does.
Yeah, it's
Like, we
not.
know Montas, like $16 million. Can we talk for a second on the financial allocations of the Cincinnati Reds? Like, I'm sorry, like, you guys give Nick Martinez and Frankie Montas this kind of money, and you don't want to just like, why not pony up for Lucas Giolito? Like,
Well,
why
wait,
not?
what's
Like,
the difference?
Lucas Giolito's been healthy at least, like,
Well,
in
if you're trying
with
to get the
8
guaranteed
upside
innings,
that,
sure.
like,
But aren't they in the
oh, we're
same?
ponying up for Blake Snell. Like,
Well, now that's a different combo, and obviously,
I
you know,
know it's on a longer term deal than they're probably just willing to do, but
sure, but like maybe
uh,
it would be, again, this team's trying to open a window here with all this amazing offense and some intriguing young arms. If they went for a Snell, yeah, it would be a big outlay of money, but I think that would actually have some merit. They need more than one guy though, so they're thinking on like why go for a Snell guy? Well, we need multiple guys. But your question of like Giolito versus them, because Giolito got what 20 mil per year.
yeah, like I think it was, is it 38 over 2 years, something
Yeah,
like
so
that?
just under 20.
Yeah.
And so then you said Nick Martinez got 13 and Montas got 16. So yeah,
Right now they have
it's
Lodolo
not
starting in
that
the
far.
minor.
I saw that too. I'm confused on that.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe because he like didn't really pitch coming back,
I think if he's healthy, he has to be on the
yeah, I think
team.
he's in the rotation,
I
right?
think Nick Martinez might be a swingman then.
Yeah.
And they go Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, Montas, Abbott, and then Martinez is that first
And
guy
they
up.
got depth now. Like, they've got
They
a
do finally have some depth because I didn't even mention Brandon Williamson, who
yeah.
had a really sneaky, solid second half.
Mm-hmm.
So they got two lefties of depth there with Lodolo and Williamson. So yeah, like my Montas love will not die.
Mine
Probably
neither.
not drafting him too many spots. I like your idea of kind of waiting, seeing what things look like in spring, and then maybe taking him in a fab league there where the risk I can move on if things don't go right. Probably not taking him in any DCs this winter, but I don't hate the price. And if I did land on him because I'm like, here we are, and it's, pick
He's one
300,
of those guys that
320.
like could drop out of top 400 in certain drafts, like where
Sure.
I go, okay, at this point, I'll take the gamble because who else is around? So,
Exactly.
Like I said, he's guaranteed innings as long as he's healthy. Like he's gonna
I
be
think
in
so
that
too.
rotation. And a lot of guys, when we start looking outside of the top 400 picks, like I like Taijuan Walker. Is he guaranteed to be in the rotation in Philadelphia? If he's struggling, I don't think so. Like
I
Cade
don't know.
Horton's an interesting prospect, but he's not guaranteed to be in the rotation. So yeah, I might take him over guys like that.
I think that's definitely fair. So that's Frankie Montas to Cincinnati. Let's talk Mitch Garver, whose nickname is apparently Garv Sauce. Hate that.
Gross.
Like what? Yeah, I don't even want to get into it. You know what? I want to make fun of that and spend a lot of time on it, but we got to move. He's the small sample king. In fact, I did my catcher rankings just yesterday, the fourth, and I had a little small sample tier basically highlighted by him. There's a handful of these catchers that they don't play too much, but when they do, they're great. This guy that I'm going to say next wasn't too great last year, but Travis d'Arnaud has done this in the past. Let me ask you something, because if you haven't read my rankings, you might not know this.
Mm-hmm.
How many years has Danny Jansen been a major leaguer?
7.
How did you know that?
Because I read that one piece of.
That's
of
hilarious. Well, he's going into his 7th
literally,
season.
I'm just scrolling through,
and that one caught your
I
attention.
just caught that one piece.
I was blown away by that.
I should have pretended like I knew, because I'm actually pretty good at just random baseball trivia type things.
I believe it, right? Obviously, You're absorbing enough day to day, but I was kind of stunned by that because he still feels kind of new to me, which is what I wrote in there. But it's because he never plays. He has one 100 game season, so he's in that small sample tier as well. But Garver is kind of the patron saint of that. He's got a couple amazing small sample seasons. Obviously, the gold standard there is the 31 homers in 93 games back in 2019. That was rabbit ball plus his skill equals 31 bombs. But hey, even without a rabbit ball, 19 homers in 87 games like he did last year is pretty excellent. The 33-year-old Garver is going to go out to Seattle. I think he's actually going to catch a bit for them, which, hey, I'm not super keen on that. But his bat is still legit. Do you believe in Garver as a dude? Actually, wait, he shouldn't have to catch it all because Cal Raleigh.
And they traded for Sebi Zavala.
Oh yeah, never mind. Okay, good.
So
good.
I think he is strictly a DH, which, in some ways, is good for Garver, because
always
he should be able to stay healthy. It does limit his plate appearance upside because teams do like to rotate in different players into
True.
give them day offs, but he hasn't been a plate appearance monster ever in his career.
Ever.
So,
yeah.
If he can get to right now, Steamer has him in Fangraphs depth charts having 515 plate appearances.
By the way, those are the same.
Right. But it's based on
charts,
playing time.
Yes, depth charts is Steamer with our playing time.
Yeah, exactly. So
I just want people to know that they're not.
That's why different. I was referencing both in terms of because the playing time calculation is different.
We tend to agree with it apparently with our depth charts. So you have a contention there because he's never sniffed 400, let alone 515, and this would be a big jump for a 33-year-old.
425 or 450 is still being aggressive but reasonable.
That's where I'd be with an aggressive projection for Garver is somewhere in the 400s.
He just hit 19 home runs in 344 plate appearances. He could hit 25 in 450,
easily.
And when he's not going to have catcher eligibility for long, but he's got it right now,
and that's all that matters because you don't lose it in season.
Exactly. So. Right now he is going off as a 17th catcher off the board. That's probably right. That's the right
really
area.
Fair. Catcher's deep, by the way. That's one thing I learned with that article is catcher, you can play it so many different ways. I'm still interested in the studs, and we've talked about this, you and I, even before I wrote this article up, about how we're playing catcher where I'm open to a stud, but you do not have to, and you're not getting as much of an advantage. One of the reasons
shopping in this tier, this Garver,
you like this tier, is that what you said?
Yeah. This is where I want to shop. There are going to be a lot of drafts where I just wait until pick 150, and then I grab two catchers,
I'm
between
totally fine with that. Give us the guys
150
right
and
there
200.
at the top end
Um,
of that, because I like all three of them right there.
Gabriel Marino, Logan O'Hoppe, Kybert Ruiz, Bo Naylor, Jonah Heim, Luis Campusano, Mitch Garver.
What time range are you looking at for ADP?
That is, I'm looking last 3 weeks, so since December 8th, or it's the last month.
Okay, let me do the same thing you are, because I had it
On
since December
Draft
1st.
Champions, it's 12 drafts. So,
because I thought you were going to say how Sean Murphy's right there at 150 as well.
Sean Murphy no longer. Well, no, I guess he is. Oh yeah, so Sean Murphy 151.
So you have Murphy, Moreno, O'Hoppe,
I want
Ruiz,
two
Naylor,
guys
Heim,
right there
Campusano.
in
Like,
a lot of drafts. Like
that is a great tier there.
and I
wait
think till the 10th round of a 15-teamer or the 15th round of a 10-teamer and just double tap on two guys you like. And I think that's what I'm gonna like. There are gonna be a lot of drafts for me where I'm drafting Jonah Heim and Mitch Garver, or Luis Campusano and Mitch Garver, and just waiting till that spot. Just double tapping.
And I can't fully quit Tyler Stevenson. Now I did.
You should. You absolutely should.
I gave him his heat. I had to be down on him a little bit in the write up.
But I'm not quitting Danny Jansen, and I like Shea
I'm not quitting Danny Jan.
Like, Alejandro Kirk, like there's a lot. I mean, like to
I like
what you just said, like, yeah, I love Campusano. Your credit, like your article, like really does show like how much depth there is at the catcher position, because when we start getting to Alejandro Kirk, we're at catcher 23.
Right
at that point, and there's still guys, Patrick Bailey and stuff later. So I don't even mind like Mitch Garver being my one and waiting to grab like a Freddie Furman or a Patrick Bailey later. So like,
it's crazy.
I mean, Garver's in a great spot in terms of the ADP, and I don't think these guys are necessarily like jumping up the ADP. Like, I think they are all going to kind of sit right there because of the depth.
So with Garver, who what was the jump off point for this combo here, are you worried at all about Seattle? He has big boy power, so no, I'm not too concerned there.
I've got his Savant page open, so
because Texas isn't even the new Texas is not a great hitter's park anyway.
Yeah,
right. I think it's more neutral.
Same X home runs in Texas and Seattle. So like, and same X home runs on like on the year to begin with. So. I guess that makes sense because of playing in Texas. I'm not worried at all about him being. I think his power probably plays fine anywhere. I think the so biggest concern is like, what is the plate appearance upside?
Yeah.
But you're talking about the catcher position, where like a lot of guys, especially at this point, like in the draft, like what are any of their plate appearance upside? 450?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they're all capped because they're catchers. So like
he doesn't need
an injury isn't a big issue. And if he does get 550 plate appearances, are we going to be that surprised? Like if they just say you are the full,
that'd be amazing.
Like, and then there's 30 home run potential in that bat, and you're going like, I just got 30 homers with a decent average from my second catcher.
That'd be nuts. Yeah. And like, again, I'm okay if you want to go high on one of your guys too. If you want to get in that superstar tier with like a Rutschman or a Will Smith or one of the Contreras brothers, and then you wait for Garver as your second. Like there's so many ways to play catcher with the draft this year in 2 catcher leagues, especially. I think this Garver move is pretty solid for Seattle, especially because they're saying you do not have to catch. He should not. Maybe like an occasional spot here and there. Like you said, though, they brought in Zavala, so they don't even need him to be Raleigh's backup. Let him DH, maybe get a little first every once in a while for Mitch Garver. Solid move for them for sure. All right. Do we have one more? Oh, yeah, we have one more. I added this late. Harrison Bader to the Mets. That do anything for you? I've always loved Bader, but, he can't stay healthy. Things didn't go well last year. He's still a great defender.
I don't know. Like
he still had 20 steals, by the way. I mean, that was the only really good thing I could say about last year's season because it came with a 70 WRC plus. But, little punch, a lot of speed, a lot of defense. But he's gonna be 30 now,
Yeah.
and he's played over 100 games once since 2020. Just the
Yeah.
2021 season, 103 games. So he
And
doesn't play
is
either.
he a strong side platoon guy? Like, is he like he's had multiple years, including last season, where he struggled against right-handed pitching? Like, is he
You think
like,
Taylor plays over him? They're both righties. Tyrone Taylor.
I think the Mets couldn't, say like, hey, we're gonna bring someone else in.
When did they trade for Tyrone Taylor? I missed that, by the way.
December.
Cool. Was it a good trade? With Adrian Hauser. I totally missed that.
Yeah, I can't remember who the Brewers even got.
Coleman Crow, fake name.
Yeah.
It might as well be like Tom Murphy or something.
Maybe that's a
fake ass name.
Just a dump, I guess, by the Brewers.
Well, yeah, that's where they're at. Oh, hey, I did have Hauser on the Mets, so something in my brain put him on the right team in my SP rankings.
I remember seeing it and being like, huh, that's a weird trade.
Yeah,
and then just not really thinking about it after that.
So Bader to the Mets, though, does that do anything for you?
Not really. Cheap speed, maybe late, because I don't think he's going to be expensive by any stretch of the imagination. Right?
Not at all. I would take him in a DC. My love for Bader does not fully die when it comes to a DC because he's a pick 400 type guy.
A guy who struggles against right-handed pitching that isn't like prodigious power, so like that's a
never
part
plays.
to hit and never plays. It's just, probably. I mean, it kind of depends on what my team even looks like at that point of the draft, because he's been DCs. I think the thought process is often, go for the upside late, but really what you need is volume to win those leagues. And
exactly.
Bader doesn't
crusty vets.
That. Yeah. So I'd rather have I'm trying to think of like the good.
Let me find somebody around. Oh, well, what about like Mark Canha? He goes right in that same area.
Yeah, like Canha is just going to play. Like he's not like, I know it's like boring and gross, but Charlie Blackmon's going to play. Like
Ramon Laureano playing in Cleveland. He goes 50 picks
Laureano's
later.
got the same kind of issues where he can't stay on the field either. But he's going to play.
Better pound for pound than Bader?
Probably.
He kind of got some things going with Cleveland too. I thought it was like sneaky solid there. And again, this comes from a Bader fan. I like Harrison Bader quite a bit, but we got to be honest about him. And
like Seth Brown is going 70 picks after Harrison Bader.
I think I'd just take Seth Brown.
Yeah, I would just take Seth Brown.
I would take Bader if I need some speed. It's DC right now. If I need some speed there, I'm like, oh, here's 20 steals.
But I think you're right. If I need some speed, like I'll take Ramon Laureano 50 picks later. Like
because I think his power profile is better too.
Yeah.
This one doesn't really move the needle.
Like how much different is Bader than Trent Grisham? Like Grisham.
He's not, and I would
Grisham going.
I'd prefer Grisham
later. So yeah,
I love Grisham probably more than I love Harrison Bader. So yeah, that's
at least
a tough
Grisham's
choice.
Gonna be healthy.
Yeah, and he's been a healthy guy that we've seen put up seasons because his defense. Which, by the way, Bader's defense is so great that if he's healthy, he could pile up the seasons. He just hasn't been healthy. But Grisham's done it. 500 plus plate appearances each of the last 3 years.
Bader is just a younger version of Kevin Kiermaier at this point, right? Like
without ever reaching the upside of Kiermaier, though.
Yeah.
Like even Kiermaier's had the flashes of like, oh, this is how he put it together, and he's even had some playing time. Those eyes, dude. That's unfair. You cannot be that physically gifted and look like that. Come on, man. One or the other. It's horse shit. Anyway, Kevin Kiermaier's hot. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock here. We haven't even started the second half of the first base.
Should we
preview.
Just do moves and then we'll continue with the players next week?
I think so, because you do have an out. You do have to go to work, even though you're under the weather.
Work is dumb.
Work be stupid. There's no other moves, so I think we can kind of cap it. Anything else that you want to talk about, though? Any rumors? Any moves that you are?
Well, I just want moves. Like I just want. I mean, it kind of worked. Like I'm really far behind, because I got sick and I was already behind before I got sick. So I'm like really far behind my projection stuff. So I guess it's fine that like the hot stove is cooled off during the holidays. But
it's a little chilly.
It's hard because like the Dodgers made all these moves, and I was like, well, the bright side is at least all the other dominoes can start falling, and
that's what we all thought, right?
Here going, oh my God, the Dodgers made all these moves and nobody else is doing anything. Like,
So now they're really going to win the World Series. Okay, so we've seen two big rumors related to the Yankees. A little interest in Snell, and now this morning, right now, interested in Dylan Cease. They currently, at least according to Roster Resource, we have Clayton Beeter penciled in as their 5-starter. Can't imagine they're going to break camp with that.
Two guys. They need both those guys. Like,
Do you think that's viable to go for both? Then they go Cole, Rodon, Cortez, and then those two, Snell, Cease, and then put Schmidt in the bullpen, Beeter in the minors. Like, what do you think the Yankees do here is my general question then.
I mean, it's so hard to know because I think like the inclination is to go the Yankees. Oh yeah, it's the Yankees. You're just going to buy all the
They
players.
do what it takes, yeah.
But that's not who the Yankees have been.
Not for a little while now.
Like, they will make one big splash in off season, but that's pretty much it. They've been a lot more conservative in terms of like, we're going to spend all the money. I think they should spend all the money because you're talking about a rotation that is relying upon Carlos Rodon, who missed the majority of last season, Nestor Cortez, who missed a huge part of last season, and Clayton Beeter, who doesn't seem like a real person. So
he is, I can confirm, but I understand the inclination to immediately be like, wait a minute, Clayton Beeter, are you playing a trick on me? Trying to get me to say Beeter? Come on, grow up.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they need two more guys because there's just too much injury risk already in that rotation. So like if you're able to go and add, a Snell and a Cease, then all of a sudden that rotation, even if it doesn't, let's say Carlos Rodon isn't healthy and he doesn't come back, like then your rotation still looks great. So I think they need at least one of those guys, but I think both those guys make a lot of sense, especially if the White Sox are looking for some ready-made pitching. You can send Clark Schmidt back in that deal.
Exactly. He could be that centerpiece to kind of get that deal going for Cease. And we are under the impression that Cease definitely gets moved, right? I mean, I think I'd be floored if he broke this, started the season with the White Sox. Yeah, I think you're muted.
I think that I've been off of so long that I forgot how to podcast. Yeah, I think absolutely. I think they were waiting for the Yamamoto deal to happen.
Yep.
I think the market, and also I think they might be waiting for Blake Snell to sign somewhere. And
true. Find the loser of the Snell sweepstakes.
Yeah.
To really get in there.
Montgomery. Like once Jordan Montgomery and Snell come off the board, what's left? Like,
then you're really talking Cease and Burns become the go-tos there via trade.
So, I mean, I do think that the Yankees need two guys, and maybe they're, I think it's in the Yankees' best interest to make a move on someone before the market dries up, and all of a sudden the trade market becomes really a lot more difficult to navigate. But I think that teams like Milwaukee and Cleveland, if they look at trading Bieber in Chicago, they're being rightfully patient. I think they should be patient and wait for other teams to kind of panic a little bit.
Yeah, I think you can definitely play that market more patiently and work that in your favor so that you can get a better return there. And I don't have a lot of compliments for the White Sox front office, but if that's what they're doing here and they're kind of seeing how the chips fall, so then they can have the teams kind of pony up a little bit more for their guys or for their guy Cease, that makes some sense to me. But I do think it's going to be one of these top teams like the Yankees that are going to go for him. And then what do you think? I guess Burns would be the same exact thing, right? Where they're going to wait, kind of see how that's going to go before anything happens. And I think they're a little bit less motivated than the White Sox. Do you think Burns gets traded now, or do you think there's a world where he is an in-season trade?
Yeah, I think there's totally a chance he's an in-season trade. Like, they just won the division. Like,
I know.
They shouldn't be breaking.
They shouldn't even be talking about trading him. Yeah, you're right. Like, but they lost Woodruff. They play small market, even though they don't have to. Like, they could, you don't have to spend $1 gazillion to compete. They've shown
they know they're not gonna resign. They pretty much already told Burns, like, we're not gonna resign you. So
They told him point blank. He mentioned this on a podcast. They
Yeah,
told him that the offer that we're going to give you is not good. Like it's going to
yeah.
be insulting.
It's not
Cool.
going to be market value.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not
yeah.
going to be competitive at all.
So like
Sweet.
they need to get value from him, especially if they're not going to be able to win that division, which I think they're probably not going to win that division, right?
Hmm.
So, but they can wait into the season and see how it starts. Like if they start out hot and go, hey, maybe we are gonna, or like say Cardinals fall on their face again. The pitching in Cincinnati still sucks, and Chicago was the flash
And
of the pan
Cubs,
last year.
yeah, and they
Pittsburgh's
choked
still
down the stretch
Pittsburgh. Like
too.
there is a world in which they get out to such a big lead and they're up by 9 games at the All-Star break, and they're like, we're just gonna ride this out. We'll take the comp pick for Burns. No,
That's
I
why
don't think
it's
that happens. So, like, I do think they end up trading him, but I can see them heading into the season if they don't get the deal that they want. That they can just go, we'll hold on to you and we'll flip you at the deadline.
I can definitely see that. Again, I agree with your initial point though that they don't even really need to be doing this because they're a good team, but they're going to do it because they're not going to pay him. So you should certainly get something. We'll see what ends up happening there with those two trades. Those are still two massive pitching chips, but so are Snell and Montgomery. So we got four big arms out there. We'll see what happens with them. I think the Yankees got to be in on some of it. Like I said, the big rumors right now, they are two of the top three stories that they're interested in: Cease and Snell, and Sale getting a 2-year deal from the Braves is the story in between that, which we didn't talk about because contracts are not something that we have to really get into. We'll worry about Sale's second year after this year.
Since
We got to see this year first.
since we're not going to talk about the rest of the first base pool today, can I share with you? I don't know if I should have kept this secret or not, but can I share with you my favorite present I got for Christmas?
Of course you can't wait. Why would you have to keep it secret from me?
Well, because I was waiting until we talked about a Baltimore Oriole, because my wife got me this, which is a like stuffed Baltimore Oriole.
My God, why is that so freaking cute? That is fantastic. I had the real thing in my house at one point, two of them,
I know.
and I battled them.
And apparently, so she
That's
found like these like
amazing.
stuffed birds that make the noise, little like plush things. They're super soft.
I can tell.
She was looking for a hummingbird one for her mom or something like that, and then she's like, "Oh my god, that's an Oriole. That looks exactly like a Baltimore Oriole."
That looks like
Apparently, they've
Kyle
got
Gibson.
Cardinals and Blue Jays,
Oh,
so I
that's
will be
amazing.
purchasing those. But every time we talk about Cedric Mullins from now on, I can press this.
100%. And that won't bother anybody. They will
No,
love
it's not
that
going to be
noise.
super annoying.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Said the entertainer, by the way, man. I've been seeing him. He just kind of lurks in drafts. No one like
Yeah.
he goes. He's got a pretty decent ADP, but
I'm
people don't
finishing my
attack.
outfield ADP market report hopefully today. Either that or it'll come out on Monday. And he's dropping. He's one of
He
the
is
big droppers.
dropping. You know where he's dropping to right now? He is right next to TJ Friedel. What do
Mhm.
you do? Do you just take them both
Double
back to
tap.
back on the? Yeah.
Double tap, baby. Double tap that and then double tap catchers.
There's there's 60 steals right there for you.
Right? I mean, I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'll always love what Cedric Mullins has done for me and for my career in the fantasy industry. But I'm not as like I've got to draft Cedric Mullins this year.
Of
There's a
course.
reason why he's dropping. Like
Exactly. That
so
batting average sank. He still went 15-19 in 116
mhm.
games, which is nice, but
He's
he hit
struggling
233.
hard against lefties.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Like
And
and
he'll
that
be
team is
29.
now and that team is now really good. That team has got a lot of young talent. They don't need to have him out there every day if he's not gonna be able to hit lefties.
Exactly. They will, and I really don't think they'll force it either. So we could see Cedric Mullins start to kind of lose some PT, which would make sense. Play it. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, this is I know we're not sharing all these gifts, but I did get the book form of Joe Posnanski's The Baseball 100.
Oh, that was on my list and I didn't get it.
Very excited. I read a bunch of the
That's
profiles on The Athletic when they were running, but there's something about having the book.
mhm.
And so, just kind of want to read one or two randomly every once in a while because Joe's an amazing writer. So yeah, I
Yep.
was very happy to
Yeah,
get this.
he's one of my favorites. It's definitely something I'm gonna be getting. Any other good gifts you got? You went to the Lions game?
That was everything. Was my sister taking me to the Lions game there? That was absolutely incredible. Had such an amazing time there, even though they lost, even though they got ripped off, but the seats were incredible. The ambiance was great, and the Dallas fans were chill as hell, and
Oh,
the
that's
Detroit
nice.
fans showed the hell out.
I bet.
I gotta say, Justin, we were maybe 60-40. I mean, we're on the small end of it, 40%, but 40% for Detroit in Texas is pretty damn good. And you could not, just by hearing the sounds, you couldn't always tell who was scoring there because the Lions fans really came in. And I do like, even though they took a loss, going into Dallas, showing they can hang with a great team, that's confidence for the playoffs too. If they have to go back there for some reason, they will not be intimidated. So I do love that, and I'm excited
Yeah. For
about
those who
football.
don't know, because we don't talk about football very often, I grew up in the Washington D.C. area. Prior to the Nationals, that's why I'm a Giants fan. But I am a huge Washington football fan.
I'm sorry.
So I hate the Cowboys. So I was
Yes,
I was
we share
probably
that.
just as devastated as Lions fans were when that game happened because they were jogged, and I just hate the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys on a similar plane to hating the Dodgers, which
Oh yeah,
is up there. Yeah.
and that's the exact comp for people that don't follow football, but they follow baseball. The Giants Dodgers hate is exactly like the Commanders Cowboys hate, and I've just always hated the Cowboys. Ever since I moved to Texas, I love to agitate people about how much I hate them. I hated them even when I lived in Detroit, but now that I live in Texas, I hate them even more. And the last time that I think the last time the Lions like advanced in the playoffs, they faced Dallas in the conference finals and lost to them. So just extra reason to hate Dallas. So hopefully we can get them back in the playoffs. But anyway, I had a great holiday season. I hope yours went well outside of getting sick. We got rankings coming out. You're doing your market reports. We are back in the full swing. We'll continue first base on Monday and then get into our next position. Maybe we'll do. Maybe we'll do catchers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since that's
You got
since
that
my
whole
rankings
list
are out.
out.
Yeah. So we'll do first base and catchers next week. Justin, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Take it easy.